So what we see after November 6th is that Biden is most likely going to win the presidency and that Trump is going to now be pushing for a lot of court action. What will happen for the court cases is still yet to be seen, but Trump wants to contest this election because he views there to be fraud, and there is a decent amount of evidence to support that. And Trump says that he has more evidence waiting in the wings. But before we go any further with that, let us look at the election as a whole. What we see in the House is while the Republicans did make some gains overall, it is a Democrat stronghold still. When we look over to the Senate, there are two runoff elections that need to happen in Georgia to decide the fate of the Senate. If both of the Georgia elections go towards the Democrats, it will be a 50-50, meaning that the vice president will be the decider vote, and if it is Biden as president, which it seems to be, then that means Kamala will be deciding any tiebreakers in the Senate, which means a Democrat agenda for the 2021 year onwards up at least till the 2022 midterm elections will be set. So what can we, the people on the right or conservatives, do moving forward? Well, after this election, it's clear the Republican Party has abandoned its people. There are very few Republican politicians, one being Ted Cruz, who's fighting against the fraud that is happening for this election. Now, the fraud again can be debated on how severe it is, but there is fraud nonetheless. And it is disgusting that we do not see Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell fighting for the Republican Party because it doesn't impact them. We only really see Ted Cruz and a few other minor politicians fighting alongside Trump against what is currently happening. So, we the people have been abandoned by the Republican Party. They are spineless. Meaning, what can we do as people looking forward? Well, let's look over towards Georgia. In January, there will be two runoff elections, both for Senate seats. These seats need to be won, so that way the Senate does not come down to a tiebreaker scenario, or at least one seat needs to be won. So hopefully, when it comes time for these votes, because Biden is no longer running and that Trump has lost, it pacifies the Democrats and Republicans can win taking one of the two seats, hopefully both. If that's not the case though, and both manage to go to Democrats, it's going to be a very rough 2 years. Now, I will never advocate for violence, as some people are calling for a civil war to happen, and at the very least there's a lot of unrest. I do not believe this should be the route we go down, because we should be a nation united together. However, people do not have that perspective. All I will say is for us as people, please go around and talk to everyone. Be more vocal. One of the issues as Republicans is often the media portrays Republicans and conservatives as a whole as evil, racist, bigoted humans that just want to keep the minorities down. That we are authoritarian in nature. We are fascists. But what we need to do is apply a face to the name. Many Republicans are hardworking people. They'll take the shirt off their back for any other person that needs it. Doesn't matter if they're black, white, Latino, doesn't matter if they're male or female. They just simply will help out whoever they can. And we need to show that. Republicans need to come out in force and help out every single person that they can. Not only that though, but Republicans also have to call out the evil of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party was founded in racism. They're the ones that pushed for slavery. They're the ones that revolted against the Union. They're the ones that founded the KKK. They're the ones that want to keep the minorities down. Joe Biden himself, I would say, is a very racist man given his past remarks. But let's just say they moved on. You still have to call it their hypocrisy on how they wish to call out people on the Republican Party for voter fraud and yet ignore the 2020 elections. It's not a two-way street. Right? For them, it's a one-way street. It's their way or the highway. So what we need to do is call it out. The Russia stuff got disproven. What about the Hunter Biden stuff? All the stuff that came out on Joe Biden selling his spots. These things need to be pushed consistently by the right, and everyone that supports Joe Biden and his deep corruption because they said they hate Trump, they're part of the problem too. Republicans need to stop playing nice. Now again, I'm not calling for violence. Do not end up going onto the streets and rioting. Do not hurt other people. People have the right to their own opinion, but unlike the Democrats where they're going to riot, we should not follow that route. We should call them out. We should not be like, oh, we're going to be the better people. fight against it in terms of using voice. Talk with them. Have actual debates. Dissent. But do not hurt is the key part. Do not fall down to that line. Overall, though, Republicans have quite the road ahead of them. Not just Republicans either. Everyone that believes that the federal government should not be a behemoth have quite a fight ahead of them. Not only is the Georgia primaries runoffs going to be a key area to look at, but it's also the 2022 elections are going to be important. The midterms in trying to flip the House and to keep the Senate to a Republican majority is going to be huge. Not just that, but also keep voting on everything from state to counties for every single election that comes off, because these little elections make a huge deal in how the country is ran. Yes, the president is important, but it's also just as important to keep every county official that has conservative values in line and in office, and same thing for state. People focus too much on the federal government when it's also the lower ends that impact us all. And then moving into 2024, there needs to be a consolidated effort to push out any of the rhinos from the Republican Party and to have true people that believe in our freedom, people that will fight for us. Because currently the politicians that we do have will not fight for us. It's important to have people that will fight for our will and will go against the status quo, the swamp as it were, and to drain the swamp. I may have not been a Trump supporter in 2016. I thought that it wouldn't work out and that Trump was a little bit too crazy, or he's just simply had his own agendas. I voted for Ted Cruz, and while I do think Ted Cruz is doing an amazing job currently, it's shown that Trump did a spectacular job. And what he did show was the corruption and the deep entrenchment that there is within the media, within the Republican and Democrat Party, the polls, and everything across the line. And we as the people need to slowly start changing that. Maybe that means we have to lose an election or two to vote out the rhinos and the Democrats win because of it. But that's fine, because eventually, if the conservative base steps up its game, we can fight against the tyranny that is within the United States. And hopefully we can keep the democracy, I know it's a republic, but the democracy, the freedom that America has, and can keep going forward, because I truly do believe America is the greatest country to have ever graced the planet. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and leave a comment down below. And anyways, God bless America.